Good evening and welcome to another episode of Eastcott Game, where we give you the X's, the O's, and the insights of NBL 1 East. Thank you for joining us tonight live on YouTube and Instagram. And remember, you can follow us live on Instagram and Facebook at Eastcott Game, or you can continue to find our episodes on your preferred streaming platforms. And while you're there, check out Cut to the Jace, a podcast featuring current Bankstown Bruin Jason Kadee, and It's a Cole World, a podcast by WNBL champion Bet Cole, both brought to you by basketball.com.au. And once again, you are not seeing things. Squin is still living it up over in Western Australia on holiday. So that is why me, Lockie, is doing the intro. And we have a very special guest, the brains behind Waratah on VCR, the Hornsby media manager, and a man who, if there's a defunct Australian business that he hasn't got into commentary, I don't know about it. It's James Mullen. James, welcome.
Thank you, Lockie, and thanks for having me. Sure, people tuning in going, damn, Squin looks very different, and maybe Liv Douglas looks a bit strange after last week, but no, it's just the long hair. But yeah, talking about the defunct Australian businesses, I've noticed it straight away, Lockie. The Townsville Crocs jersey in the background has me wagging my tail. That is possibly the best thing I've seen all year.
Just for you, mate. Just for you. Was about 6:45. I was like, I haven't put a jersey out. So I went and found the Townsville Crocs. And of course, for Waratah and VCR, I had to go with a Tasman Haynes Bankstown Bruins jersey. They are a legend of Waratah League back in the day.
Yeah, absolutely. And a good one for Heritage Round as well. I mean, yes. Heritage Round was a fortnight, but yeah.
So everyone could get a home game. Yeah. But you must be very happy at the moment. Your Hornsby boys are absolutely flying in recent weeks.
Yeah, it's been wild. I don't know. Sunday really felt like a dream. I mean, Sunday games are kind of strange sometimes anyway. But especially when the Hornsby Spiders beat the Canberra Gunners on back-to-back. I mean, I was actually down in Canberra last Saturday for that game, and that felt very surreal. You know, going into Tuggeranong or Southern Cross Stadium, as they call it, it's like I mean, I know Hornsby were kind of on the turnaround, but I'm like, this is the Canberra Gunners we're talking about here. These guys don't know how to lose at home. They rarely lose at home, and they really lose. They'd had. I mean, I don't know what the last time was. It 2 years they'd been undefeated in Canberra?
Yep.
Then they go down and the Spiders probably have the best performance I've ever seen them have in the men's division, at least in the East era. With obviously David Hickey leading the way, but I think players like Alex Sidhu especially has just stepped up and gone to a whole new level. Players like Daniel Titus is really clicked into gear. He's just notched up about 5, 6, 7, 8 more points a game, and that's really making a difference. But really having Davo conducting the orchestra has made it all happen. And that game on Sunday, the overtime thriller, I felt like I was going to pass out in the commentary. It was just such a good game of basketball, and both teams just, I don't know. Sometimes in these levels of basketball, the like poetic moments don't happen. They miss the game winner, but it just seemed like every point where there could be a highlight moment or a turn in the storyline there was. But unfortunately, I think that may be it for Davo with the Spiders. I'm not too sure. They actually don't tell me a whole lot. But for what it's worth, it's been a wild few weeks.
Oh wow! Where's he off to? What's?
Well, potentially, again, don't quote me on this and don't sue me on the Spiders, but yeah, I think he's gearing up for NBA Summer League. So I think now that he's more of a part of the Lakers program, they might get him in for a bit of like, I guess, Summer League preseason, which sounds like an oxymoron. But yeah, it might have been his last game for the Spiders, but don't quote me on that. But if it's not, come on, more games, please.
Yes. Because I was just looking at the table and like it's 3-9, but that group of teams that are currently sitting 500, a lot of them play each other. Like we might be talking about a 9-win team making the 8 as it stands, and like from 3-9 with Davo, that would be very doable for the Spiders.
Yes, it could be, but Yeah, look, I wouldn't be surprised to see the Spiders maybe have another jack up their sleeve potentially,
Ooh.
or replace Novo. So I don't know, maybe stay posted.
Well, watch this space. Things are happening at the Brick Pit.
Yeah, too much is happening, but it's been wonderful. Yeah.
But before we get on to our game of the week, we better stick to the actual run sheet because the news
Mm.
during the week, and we know it comes around this time every year, was graduation day at the COE. Especially on the men's side. For the women's side, it was only Zara Russell graduating. She played on the weekend, so we haven't actually seen them play without these players. But for the men, it's a long list and it's a big list of graduates. Ajak Nguyen, Alex Dickerson, Flynn Pavley, Isaac Riddle, and Big John Cushmack. And Luke Paul's leaving as well. And I think Alex Dickerson had 30 in one of the games on the weekend. So they've got a lot of production to fill to the COE.
Yeah, it's that's some big names, and if you're a team who played them in the first half of the season, you'll be like, oh, could we not? Could we not have like faced the twin towers there of Newen and Match? And then, but even players like Dickerson have just been so dynamic. Riddle was a player who really surprised me. Actually, I'm sorry to say I didn't know a whole lot about him before commentating him against Penrith back then, but he impressed. In very little touches of the ball, he was super effective. But you think players like shout out to the New South Wales players down at COE, Antonio Brown, Ivic as well, the two Bankstown boys, they might be due for a few more minutes as the season goes along. But you're right, look, it's going to be a huge void to fill. That's pretty much just starting five moving on.
Certainly is. Yeah, I mean, the women will be interesting as well just because of the caliber of the player and the fact that the Zara is the only one graduating means she's the only one old enough to graduate, which means it's a very, it's been a young lineup for the COE for all season. But both teams are in pretty good spots though. I mean, the men are 13-1, so I think that's not mathematically in finals, but it may as well be at this stage. And the women sit at 10-4, so you'd have to say they're looking pretty good as well. And they wrap up their season by round 12 as well, which is crazy. They just double headers all the way, then go off to a World Cup or an Asian Cup, depending what year it is, and come back for finals.
Yeah, it's I really don't know how they do it. They really have the season on espresso shots. Let's just put it that way. But boy, we're really going to miss Sarah Russell in the East. I've really enjoyed watching her play. She was such a big part of that grand final run last season. When you see her play live, that quick trigger on the three is just automatic. I don't know how much time she puts in the gym. It must be more time than there is in a week. But yeah, Zee Russ has got big things ahead. I can't wait to see what she does in college at California with Ruby Perkins and Lulu as well. Yeah, it's going to be amazing to see her career evolve. But I think now for the COE, it's going to be even more on all the Queenslanders coming through the program up there. And I think that starts with Izzy Smith. I think a player who probably is due for more minutes as well as Jay Sabasio as well. Again, just watching COE a couple of weeks ago and last weekend as well. She was really impressive. Of course, they all are. COE is, but a lot of that whole like Queensland golden generation coming through COE right now. I think they're going to really fill in the void. But I think Izzy Smith's ready to just take even more responsibility and take a game to an even higher level.
I mean, I think the Sapphires team has more players from Mackay than from Western Australia, Tasmania, and New South Wales combined. So tells you a bit. I think the number is 2-0 on that front, unfortunately. What can you do?
There's good things going up in Central and North Queensland.
Certainly are. But it's not just players leaving, a couple of new signings. It's getting very late in the season to be signing players. I think you have to play 8 games. So most teams are approaching that kind of threshold. We'll start with the Spider. Muffy Loader. There's a name I did not expect back in the East, but with 4 players on their way to college, your Spiders needed a bit of reinforcement.
So good. I mean, I know last year was the year of homecoming as dubbed by Escott Game, but I think Muffy Loader. Look, I know she's technically not from. She's more Central Coasty, but came up through the Hornsby Juniors towards the end of her junior career. Played youth league, Waratah League back in the day, as in the precursor to NBL 1 East Waratah, that is, with Hornsby, and now back in the green and black. And I got to say, when you look around at mid-season signings, it's really hard to pick up on a local player or even a player who's played with your club before, because everyone's found their homes yet. And especially a player of Muffy Loader's caliber, was such a rare opportunity to have her floating around and available. So you're right, Lockie, with Jessie May, Lucy Mead, Lola Grolton, and Ruby Perkins moving on. Muffy Loader's, I got to say, is as good as you can get, and I think ready to contribute as well, because she's played a lot with a lot of these Spiders players before. Played with Christina Moore in under 18s and youth league. Played with Nicole Hutchins. Played with Coach Jess as well. So she's very familiar with all of these players, and I think can come in and impact the game straight away. Got a decent amount of minutes on the weekend, but I think still getting used to the system and getting that match fitness back, because she trains hard, but it's a whole different story when you're back in the game. But great to have Muffy back.
And I mean, you speak about having played with players before. Maitland Men pulling exactly the same reign by signing Matt Gray.
Yeah, that's an awesome signing. I mean, yeah, like I was kind of wondering that, like, where's Matt Gray this season? Where in the world is Matt Gray? New season coming soon, but I mean, it's pretty easy to spot around the place. But yeah, having Matt Gray, a championship caliber player with the Maitland Mustangs, returning, I guess his second home, Matt Gray. Yeah, it was a big part of their championship team. And with Maitland kind of having patchy results this season, compared, I mean, at least when you consider the expectations for that team, I think he can be another player who can give you 10, 15, 20 points a game. And you're right, Lockie, he'll know all the plays already.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, yeah, he's back with Will, back with Billy. I mean, it's great signing. I mean, you just want to get that extra piece. You may as well go and find someone who is who already knows their way around the place. But Heritage Round or Fashion Week, James, you've dubbed our next thing. Who had the best Heritage jersey?
Oh,
that's not even a question.
It was very. Oh no! Look, I know who your vote's going to be for, but I do like to pay a shout out to all the clubs who did don Heritage jerseys, and also just a lot of credit to all the clubs out there who participated, like in social media and the build up in some activations at games to celebrate Heritage Round. I love to see it. You got it. Like really, it really just reminds you of how far the game's come across Australia, but also pays homage to a lot of the great players, managers, coaches, volunteers who have laid the foundation for our great game. Yes. So, and just to see some of the threads was just awesome as well, because I'm a big sucker for a throwback jersey. So look, my favorite, because I don't want to steal yours, it was the Hills Hornets one. They didn't tease
the old script.
Yeah, that was sick. The running right. I love running riding. I'm a sucker for it, but it's good to see they actually haven't gone too far away from that in their modern jerseys. But oh man, if anyone at the Hills Hornets has one of those floating around, I'll give you my address and I'll throw as much money in my bank account at you. So that's about $20. That's all I got left. But I'll give you. It was an awesome throwback, and I think Hills Hornets did a great job as well, celebrating their history. They had a good like these kind of picture boxes with all the old players and the club throughout the years. So yeah, my vote's for the Hills Hornets, and a close second was the COE, who went to the AIS days.
Love the old red, white, and blue AIS. I actually have a red, white, and blue AIS training singlet. So,
oh wow,
because they just sell them. They used to just sell them at the gift shop. So,
oh nice,
yeah. So I do. Yeah. I am a sucker for the old red, white, and blue AIS kit. Yeah, that was hot. Yeah.
Yeah, but Lockie, your pick was, what do you reckon?
Well, the one I spent $260 buying.
Oh,
Sydney Comets.
Oh wow!
Actually, that's a lie. I didn't spend $260. I spent $325 because I got a pair of shorts as well.
Oh, the matching shorts. Was it like a game worn, or were they selling them as part of merch?
They're selling them as merch.
Nice, that's great. Yeah, those City jerseys is just awesome. Yeah. like the old kind of like old school Sydney colors, not just for basketball, but you as a sports aficionado, like the blue and gold is a kind of traditional Sydney color along with the sky blue, but those City of Sydney throwbacks, which are so mint, and lucky a good investment by you, may I say.
I don't know if my bank account agrees, but and don't go throwing that $20 away. You need that for a rump steak at the East Village Tavern.
Oh, on a Wednesday night for trivia. Thank you, Lucky. That's tomorrow night. If anyone's bored, come down to trivia. Oh, wow, you've done the scouting report and everything.
How can we miss your videos? With your dying pole vaulter and your man falling off a stretcher.
Yeah, no, and those weren't reenactments either. That's actually a good summary of how my life goes as someone hosting trivia. But yeah, we're back this week after a week off for State of Origin. But we won't go into the rugby league
though. Look, we love New South Wales sport. Happy to talk about. Happy to at least give State of Origin a cursory mention.
Yeah,
sweeping the women, 1-0 up in the men. How good?
Yeah, I know. Jeez, after all that pain Queensland inflicted over that decade of dominance, but
speaking of sweeps, though, 4 teams doing pretty well, and one of them swept. Sorry to bring you down a bit on the Hornsby front, but the Canberra Nationals, from absolutely in the doldrums, beating Crew, beating Spiders on the away road trip. Katie Jones hitting her straps.
Yeah, it was methodical to watch, really. I can't think of another word for it. I mean, I obviously saw the reverse fixture of Spiders Nationals down in Canberra just a week ago. Or not last weekend, but the weekend before. Spiders really had their number. It seemed like the Nationals hadn't quite figured out how to get everyone to work together. But whatever Nat Hurst did at training that over last week really clicked them into gear. And Katie Jones was just gliding left, right, center. She's just like really unlocked all the potential that I knew this Canberra Nationals team had. In fact, last time I was on this pod, I was talking about how much potential this national side has from their starters to their developing players. They were really good. And Katie Jones has just brought it on the weekend. 28 points, 9 rebounds, 6 assists, 7 steals against the Crew. Quick nap, quick sleep, breakfast, down to the brick pit. 29 points, 23 rebounds, 6 assists, and did it off 70% field goal shooting. I mean, who? Oh my god! Like, I can see why she's one of your favorite players. That's just clinical basketball.
Like they were sitting 2-7. They were in real trouble, and now they're just a couple of games out of the 8 now. They're a real chance to. And you mentioned like unlocking the team. They had not all 5 starters, but 5 players in double digits.
Yeah, it's just amazing. Like just having that point guard to set up, and like I'm really liking the Callie Bourne, Katie Jones backcourt. Like they're both kind of oversized. I wouldn't quite call Callie like a guard because again she just does everything. She's a Swiss Army knife. To have those two running the thing, and then to have great shooters like Fennell, who I think is only getting better. She really doesn't miss from the corner, and same with Jazz Butsos. Those two have a good 1-2 punch on the 3-point line. Then you move into the paint with players like Alison Day. Reese as well had some awesome minutes against the Spiders, just going basket to basket, doing the dirty work. And they still have Carly McAllister to come back from injury. So yeah, I think just to have that out and out point guard, it frees up Callie Bourne. It sets up the shooters. It helps to get that dribble penetration, that pick and roll stuff to set your bigs up as well. So it just seemed like Katie was the missing ingredient to unlock the potential on a side that had so much talent already.
Yeah, and now with the hazard reduction burning debacle, they've got Katie for the game against Sutherland, which they wouldn't have originally had. So that'll be interesting to watch on Sunday the 14th if she can lead them to victory at the Shark Tank. But someone else who was massive for the Illawarra Hawks women, who are flying at the moment, 3-1, just beat Albury and Albury. Darcy Reese, she had a big double-double by half-time in that game against Albury Wodonga. She was absolutely killing it. And
Yeah.
I mean,
Talking about races.
in a game where
Sorry,
Unique Thompson had 22 and 21, but did it on 9 of 27 shooting or numbers like that. Darcy was really massive, like physically and figuratively massive for Illawarra. And now they're just one win behind Albury Wodonga for 8th spot.
yeah, you're right about that. It seems like with the Hawks that has maybe been their Achilles heel, their missing piece, the last few years. I know they've got a lot of great young bigs coming through, like Giles and McRae, but to have Reese come in as a player with plenty of experience around like all these different NBL 1 conferences, sometimes you just need that really strong defensive basket to basket big, just to get in there and do the dirty work, and to keep Unique Thompson at those shooting percentages just incredible. And to their coaches, Tim Craney, Tom Craney. Tom Craney. Sorry, Tom. I'm really sorry. Yeah, to the adjustments and progression he's made, I think this will be his 3rd year in charge of the Hawks. They really got a good brand of basketball, and to have players like Phillips and Johnson as well starting to heat up. It's good to see, and their point guard Jovanovic as well. She's not having to carry as much of the load as the rest of the team stands up, and that just means things have been a lot easier for her offensively as well. Winning 3 out of their last 4 games. So keep an eye on the Hawks; they're starting to fly.
And you had to slot them in, didn't you, James? The Sutherland Sharks, man.
Oh yeah, it was a coincidence.
Yes, the Sutherland Sharks men are now 5-5 after picking up 2 wins, but I mean, the win over Comets. They lost by 18 in the first game against Comets this season in round 1, with no head coach. No head coach in round 1 because Sean Roger was still with the Kings for the finals. Lost by 18, then turned it around enough, beat the Comets by enough to actually get the split on them, beat them by 20 odd. And Tyler Robertson had 14 points in the first quarter. Spurgeon was able to neutralize the Comets bigs. And then Robertson went out again the next day and did it again to Penrith. So, for the talk of what's going on with the Sharks, well, they didn't have their head coach. Then Jason Spurgeon went to the States for 2 weeks to do his graduation ceremony. They didn't have Tyler Robertson until now. Maybe they're finally where they are, where they expected to be, where everyone thought they would be at the start of the season.
Yeah, it was maybe the Sydney Kings success was maybe the worst thing to happen to the Sharks men this season. So yeah, it's a bit of a double-edged sword if you're a Sharkies fan, but maybe not a Sydney Kings fan. But then to bring those players fresh off that championship back and a coach who was part of it as well, goes to show that there's big days ahead, and I think the Sharks are really start to show what they're actually made of. But that's why you guys always talk about in this pod, like it is really difficult to make predictions early in the season because there's like almost a distinct first half and second half. And with almost all the teams on this list, of teams that are kind of turning things around, they've had players join somewhat late. I mean, we talked about the Spiders men before, the Nationals women with Jones and the Sharks with their NBL duo. It almost is the tale of 2 seasons sometimes. So yeah, this is kind of why I put it in as a talking point, because you see teams that are underperforming then now are starting to shoot up the rankings.
Yeah. I mean, even the Sharks women, had Lauren Nicholson go away to 3x3, was away for a couple of weeks, It'd be nice to have Lauren for every game of a season for the first time in, has it ever happened? I still don't think she's brought up 50 games of NBL 1 East yet.
Yeah, I mean, maybe, just a little too good at doing everything,
Yeah.
So that's it. But actually, speaking of which, sorry, just I'll have a moment more on the Sharks women as well. Just if we could get Liv Douglas on more episodes of Eastcott Game, that'd be awesome. I really enjoyed last week's episode, that insight. And I think Liv's got, you're right, a future in commentary, but podcasting, presenting, she's just got the gift. So yeah, more of that.
We've had Liv on commentary twice.
Nice.
Once, just Liv and myself, and once with Jake as part of a trio. So definitely
big three.
Yeah, the big three, yes. Definitely. I mean, everyone knows we got the third headset at Comets and Sutherland. So if you ever want to jump on, just hit me up.
Might be hitting you up for that a little soon. I know we've got a weekend off, which is kind of interesting, which we might actually just want to talk about just after this. But yeah, just after that, we got our Spiders Sharkies down at the Tank on a Saturday.
Yes, seats open, James. Come on down.
All right.
The week off for everyone except Canberra and the COE.
Yeah, sorry to our Canberra and COE fans out there. They've got the traditional doubleheader, which actually was talking to a few of the Canberra players about after the game, and they love it. They really G up for that game. It's like I know the COE is a national program, but it is a local derby for them.
Yeah. It's funny. I was talking to Nikki Warner, who now plays for Central Coast, but is a born and bred Canberran about, and she was like, "It feels like you always lose one. If you win the first, you never get the second. Everything's so fresh in the mind that you just cover. You've got like a built-in scout from the previous game.
It'll be hard not to just continue playing the same way and the same style because there's like very little time there to adjust your tactics between games. But I'd love to. God, I wouldn't hate to be a player in a situation, but I feel like just in that sleep between the two games, you'd just be dreaming about it. Then you got to wake up and then you got to go do it again. It almost feel like a 48 hours of just focusing on this other team and on these games.
Yeah, no, not fun. Finally, and before we get into our game of the week, the Crew men, Central Coast Crusaders men, 4-game winning streak. One of the hottest teams in the league at the moment. I mean, if we look at the top two COE and Centre of Excellence are on 5 and more game winning streaks, but no one else has put together a streak this long. So Central Coast absolutely flying high. Got that overtime win against Sutherland, and then we're about to talk about it. Big win over Bankstown this weekend.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll dive into the players and the coaching and all that a little more for our game of the week. But yeah, I really just want to highlight it. I think just looking back a little bit to the previous seasons for the Crusaders men, they've had all the ingredients, but I just don't think they had the recipe quite right. They had really good players, but they maybe didn't fit well near each other. I remember next to each other. I remember a couple of years ago when they had Robbie Heaths. He was a great player, but and Evan Wardlow as well. That was a good team. But the styles just didn't really fit well. It's nothing to take anything away from the players and coaches. It's just sometimes talent can neutralize talent by all kind of doing the same thing. But now you fast forward a couple seasons, injuries haven't been a huge issue. Touch wood. I'm still got wooden floors here, and also I think that your youth generation, who I definitely do want to talk about during the game breakdown, have started to really blossom. Like there's a whole bunch of young Crusaders guys in the men's program and the women's program as well who are starting to come into their own. So I think the Crusaders are finally playing up to their potential and sitting in 6th place at the moment. So hey, let's keep cruising along and they'll break their playoff drought.
Yeah, calling their game against Sutherland, it was really interesting how they just keep running. They just keep going and going and going. They look really fit. And just looking at, like, they have some, they've got a healthy mix of, like games against teams lower than them. And, they've got Newcastle and Albury to finish off the season. Hornsby, Ku-ring-gai, get to see what their team will actually look like, as you say, James. And then they've got Maitland. That will be a big one. COE next weekend will be huge. And Penrith. So they're not, they've got, I think they've got COE twice, actually. So they've got, a good, healthy mix of games that they would expect to win and games that might be more challenging. So definitely one team to keep an eye on down the stretch. But we kept an eye on them. Well, admittedly, it was this afternoon, not on Sunday itself. But we are going to take a look at the Central Coast Crusaders and Bankstown Bruins men's game from the weekend. It finished 86-79 in favour of the Central Coast. I think the big news, of course, is who Bankstown were missing. Obviously, we know Jason Caddy's out, but Alex Higgins-Titcher is off representing his country at the 3x3 World Cup. So two big outs for Bankstown, and well, I think it's fair to say that Central Coast took full advantage of the situation that was presented to them.
Yeah, they very much did, and I think maybe the box score didn't quite reflect the game. I don't know. I did something that I don't normally do, which is check the scores and the stats before I watch the game. But another out that I actually did want to point out, which I think as we talk about the game a little more, will become a little more evident. But that Nico Timonira's left the Bruins and gone to the Southern Tigers. There we go. In NBL 1 Central to team up with former Bulls coach Ing Lau. So there's a bit of a connection for you. Bad timing, especially with those injuries and outs you were talking about just before. I haven't seen any Aaron Waban this year as well, but it just seemed, as I looked at this game, that they really needed an out-and-out ball handler and a playmaker. So yeah,
100%. Like
a big loss.
Yeah, Nico. Yeah, I mean, you have those outs, but they only ran with 10 for the game as well. So definitely having Nico there would have been a massive help. Yeah, Southern Tigers in South Australia, not to be confused with South Adelaide, which is another team entirely.
Who owns the South? Anyway, tune into the NBL 1 South podcast. Oh no, NBL 1 Central. I always get that mixed up because it's South Australia. I always say NBL 1 South, but I said no, it's Central.
Maybe the Salties need to be reborn and play in Central, and that way it can take up the whole of Central Australia.
The whole Central. Yeah, bring back the Salties. Yes. I'm going to say.
There was someone in comments on the weekend with a Salties hoodie on.
Damn, there you go. It's very niche.
Yeah.
I think
I mean, I always look at the box score and I take a look at field goal attempts, offensive rebounds, turnovers, and shooting percentage. And Central Coast had a lower shooting percentage but took 7 more field goal attempts than Bankstown in this game, which I found very, very interesting. But I think if we take a look at the first quarter, I think the first few minutes of this game belonged to Tom Akamamoli.
Oh, big time! That's the. I always wonder how you guys do your game breakdowns here, and you always say that's exactly what I wrote, but that is exactly what I wrote. All right, Tom Akamamoli is 3 and D, and just so important. And it's probably not the last time we're going to mention him in the game, but we're going to have to wait a little bit before he comes back. But his leadership on this team is just phenomenal, and I mean, I know the word veteran gets thrown around a lot. Sometimes it'd be a little condescending that maybe a player's, a veteran, the passing front. But Tom is just such a good team player and just pops up where needed. His 3-point shot was great. His timing, his IQ is awesome. He knows when it's time to go downhill and get to the basket. He knows what time it's time to pop out and shoot. But also defensively, him and Cassidy were putting a lot of pressure on the Bruins ball handlers early on.
Yeah, I did write down, and it was due in large part to that defense, that it did look like sometimes, it was probably both teams a little bit in the first quarter, just sometimes looking to do a little too much. There were long passes that defenders just picked off. There was one that Ant Mundine just was like, see ya. Williams tried a couple of really low percentage layups, and then there was that alley-oop attempt to Materm Maker, which was almost thrown into another postcode, which I just thought early on teams just need to, and I think we find this a lot in NBL 1 where teams are trying to break each other early. Sometimes just stay within your own game and don't let it get out of hand early. Don't let them pressure you. But also speaking of Ant Mundine, had an early 3 on a drive and kick from Williams, had a transition layup, and I thought Bankstown looked so much. in fact, I think the only time they really looked really good was when Deontay Williams was engaging defenders, whether he was driving and kicking, whether he was going to the rack himself. If he wasn't engaging a defender, there wasn't really a lot going on.
Yeah, that's so true. And as the game went on as well, so Deontay even running the point at times. But when he's going downhill, which he can in a hurry, he's so quick, so strong, so dynamic. Drawing in defenders, then looking for those kick outs to their shooters, looking for players like Jesse Edwards, Angus Lake, and of course Ant Mundine. They were looking a lot better because I think what was kind of holding them back, at least at the start and throughout the game, was Ant just kind of got caught having to dribble too much. But I think SJ said it on the call as well. Like Ant Mundine is just almost unstoppable in the catch and shoot situation. So having those ball handling responsibilities put a lot of burden on him. But I think Deontay helped to relieve that pressure a lot. I think he just drew in a lot of defenders, and all game long he was doing that as well. Like you had to respect his game, and the numbers he's been putting up this season has been insane. So yeah, it's definitely circled on a lot of people's scouting reports. But I think what they could have done to maybe get out of that a little more onus early in the season, when commentators Spiders Bankstown, they're running a lot more pick and roll action. Now they did get back into that in the fourth, but it just seemed like a your turn, my turn in that first quarter, just like kind of passing around the perimeter. Like there wasn't a whole lot of on-ball screen action, and I think that would have helped to give a little more relief to Williams and Mundine.
Yeah, I was writing down a note and I was saying they need to get Williams open. Oh no, they look better when they get Williams open. And I thought about it. They're not getting Williams open. Williams is just cooking defenders with not a lot of screen help or anything. So they're not getting him open. He's just making space and opportunities for himself. And I think that's 100%. Yeah.
The one man
set a screen for the man.
Yeah, and try to give him a few more open shots. But on the other side, though, I got to say that the 1-2 punch of Mature Maker and Garrick Young, they were just having a picnic down in the paint, especially in that game. I think the Crew knew they had a height advantage, maybe not a strength advantage. They got a lot of strong bigs over on the Bankstown Bruins side, but Garrick Young and Maker were just getting to their spots so easy in the paint, and they were running a lot of pick and roll action and getting a lot of great seals for just easy layups, getting out and running. I think Bankstown really struggled, at least in that first quarter, to kind of plug up the paint, and Maker and Young were more than happy to cash in their tickets.
100%. Yeah, Maker, I mean, that's where, I mean, I know who in this league does have the height of Maker, really, but even so, I mean, just someone with the athleticism that can get up, like Higgins Titcher, just someone who could really compete. Just throw him in there and see what could eventuate. And he's just such a massive part that how do you really replace a guy with his skill set and his athleticism? And it's just I mean, if we look at the final box score, Young, Maker, Akamamoy, and Hayden Gunderson all finished well into double figures, and Garrick Young, and just in the pick and roll, just scoring in different ways as well. Whether he gets it high or low, it doesn't matter. He seems to be able to just make his move and find his spot. I mean, we all know what he can do. He's not new to the league anymore, so he's definitely not new to New South Wales basketball. As the Waratah fans will know.
Yeah, no, big time. And good to see him hanging around with the Central Coast as well. I'm glad he's back for another season. But yeah, they really had no answer for him on the inside. I think Elijah Kamu did give good minutes. Like I got big raps on Kamu, and I only realized halfway through that game when SJ said in the commentary, they played Youth League the game before. I'm like, what? This guy's played like multiple NBL 1 North seasons, and he's still eligible for Youth League.
And he's playing Youth League, is considering how many players, even like with their home clubs, don't play Youth League that are eligible. Like I always talk about, like with Comets women, like imagine like a season or two ago if Piper Anderson and Alex K. Roos and Alex Oliver were all playing Youth League regularly, and they just didn't. So
yeah,
for him to actually go and play Youth League as well is kind of remarkable.
Yeah, it's so impressive, and I think again, he's another player who could maybe just take a bit of pressure off a few of the other players. Got a few notes later on about Camus, so I don't want to ruin them. But I really liked what I saw early on when he came in with about 3 minutes to go in the first quarter. And just one more note from that first quarter as well was ref Michelle Cozier. Now, I just want to give her a little shout out because at the moment she's second in Waratah women in points per game. So she's playing for Newcastle on the side. Granted, she has only played one game, which is a 26-point performance versus Shoalhaven Tigers. But yeah, referee Michelle Cozier can still go out there and get it.
Well, you'd hope so, considering she's got about 4 billion games of WNBL playing experience. So, don't know if don't know exactly how many games it was, but it was a lot of games especially for the Canberra Capitals back in the day. I have a Canberra Capitals poster, multiple Canberra Capitals posters with Michelle Cozier on them. Actually, I think one's so old that she was still Michelle Musselwhite.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, no, I just want to give her a quick shout out. I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot she's playing Waratah as well this year. But yeah, hopefully you can see her out in the court a little more with the Falcons. But anyway, we'll get back into NBL 1 East, and my final note for that first quarter was Miko ran that starting five pretty much until the final 2 minutes of the first quarter when we saw Alex Bailey, Aaron Redhead come in for a bit of relief. So yeah, Miko, I think he's really figured out which starting five he likes to run with.
It was, and interestingly though, I think that was about Redhead's only minutes of the game. He only played 2 minutes for the entire game.
I know, it was sad. I'm a big fan of Aaron Redhead. I was hoping he would get a few more minutes in this game, but maybe tactical thing. Maybe they didn't need him, but
because he played decent minutes against Sutherland the week before. I seem to remember.
It gives you so much, Aaron Redhead. But hey, if you guys don't give him minutes, Aaron, you're always welcome back at the Brick Pit. But I'm not a recruiter. I'm not a scouter though.
There we go. And speaking of Alex Bailey, Luke Cassidy, boys, one of you's got to cut your hair or go the Colin Miller funky blue rinse, because the hair and the headband, it's not. You can't both look like that.
Yeah, it's really hard to tell. It's very much so. And I'll chuck, for any crew people out there, I'll chuck Hudson Bush in that same situation, the youth league point guard from back in the day. I don't know. I remember turning up to a youth league game and being like, is Cassidy still playing youth league? That can't be right. And it's like, no, it's Hudson Bush. So they've still got that headband with the long hair. And I think you're right. Yeah, I think Alex Bailey used to wear the knee pads, maybe not anymore. That was a good little signifier. Maybe one of you's got to get, a full sleeve tribal tattoo, or I don't know, maybe the new Crusaders logo or a little rebel on your arm or something. Yeah. Because even play style wise, they're sort of similar.
Yeah, exactly. Like the F1 cars, where one camera's got the green light on it that you can tell who's who when you can't see the numbers.
Yeah, exactly.
But moving on to the second quarter, and it was 23-15 after the first quarter. And second quarter, I think this is where Maker really caused Bankstown a lot of trouble in the second quarter. He drew 4 fouls alone in the quarter. He lived at the free throw line. As you said earlier, he and Young were able to find their spots, and he was just there every time. And Bankstown pretty much had to make him earn them at the line, or he was just going to put the ball in the basket every single time.
Yeah, it's a kind of pick your poison situation, and it's so difficult when you got those two guys barreling down on you, because Garrick also was coming to life as well. There was a play that I noted where Jamal Schwab hit Garrick Young on a perfect post seal. I was going to give Jamal a bit of a shout out, but we'll just get back to that in a moment. But with Maker and Young, they just bounce off each other so well, and you can only really pick one to throw a lot of heavy defensive pressure at. And I think sometimes though with Maker, when you've seen him with previous teams have tried to use him on the perimeter a little too much as a kind of isolation scorer. But I think the Crews just said, big man, get in the paint and cause some damage, and it's really paying off.
It was funny. I saw it, there was one point in the game where he actually did get the ball on the perimeter, and I was like, it's not happening. He's not shooting it. just handed it off and trotted his way back into the paint. And the play kept going. But I think some of the things that were problems for Bankstown in the first quarter rolled over into the second quarter with, again, they're just kind of flinging the ball around. I mean, Williams was going off all game, but of almost expecting him to do too much at times to get them a basket when they've got options that can score the ball really well.
Yeah, they do. I mean, it can be a double-edged sword. Oh, that's definitely not a Crusaders pun. But that's a double sword. But yeah, it can be a double-edged sword when you've got such a dynamic scorer like Deontay Williams. Is like he can go out there and get your bucket when you need it, but then sometimes that can come at the expense of a wider team system. Like when you're moving the ball around, you've got 5 or 6 guys who are looking like threats, or like 5 or 6 guys who can go for double-figure scoring. But again, with the injuries at the moment, I mean, it just seemed like Mundine and Williams were just determined to put the team on their back. But you're right, it was looking like very vanilla offense. And actually kind of something that did stand out to me about is like, I really like Ted Wolf, man. He's given us a lot of highlights. I got to say, it seems like every Monday morning you open Instagram and Ted Wolf's jumping out of your screen at you. It's awesome. But I just think they haven't quite figured out where to use him, and I would like to see him maybe get inside a little more. He did hit a 3 in this quarter, but I think using that size and athleticism to cause a lot more trouble on offense in the paint, I think would maybe help unlock Ted Wolf just that little more, because we see it on defense. He had some monster blocks in this game. Ted Wolf was one of the bright spots defensively for the Bankstown Bruins. Again, just more highlights plays. But yeah, I don't know. I think maybe he's spent a little too much time camping out on the 3-point line, and maybe with teams he's played with previously, he's been more of a wing. But I think on this Bankstown Bruins side, they need to use him more as a forward / kind of center in that situation. And a big shout out to Tom Dowse though. I think he had quality minutes coming in there, just doing the dirty work for the Bankstown Bruins. I know he's a bit of a veteran with that side. Been involved with the Bankstown program for a long time, but he was very solid. And I think later in the third quarter as well, Dowse was plugging a lot of the gaps defensively and setting a lot of great screens as well. So big shout out to Tom Dowse. I'm a fan. I do like my fundamentally sound bigs.
And it's interesting, Bankstown 1 of 8 from 3-point range in the first quarter and 30% in the second quarter, but only 12 points in the paint for the entire first half compared to 30 for Central Coast. So a real disparity there in those numbers. And yeah, perhaps if they are, yes, they are down players, but yeah, perhaps utilizing Wolf in closer quarters might be a good idea. I was just looking at his shot chart, not a lot near the restricted zone at all. Even his shots that were in the paint were out closer to the free throw line. As you mentioned, he did have that 3. It got it back to a 4-point game, which is was a little really good period for Bankstown. There was one where I think on a couple of plays later, Central Coast defense just collapsed in on Deontay, and he kicked it straight to Mundine. And there was no one within cooee of him. It was one really good play where they really got the Central Coast defense to bite on the player going into the paint, which I thought, and I was really hoping, this would be where it had, Bankstown might get on a bit of a run. Maybe they take the lead, and then Central Coast just punched back massively in the end of that second quarter. From it was 33-29 at one stage, and before you know it, Garrick Young is just killing it in the pick and roll, and we've got a timeout Bankstown at 41-32.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they just push it out to that lead, and it was just pounding in the paint. But also, I think the crew did a great job turning those stops, turning that defensive energy into fast break opportunities. And wow, this Crusaders side gets out and they run fast. I think Bankstown were great when they were getting out and running, but of course you need to get the stops first to get those opportunities. But yeah, the Crusaders I know what you mean. Just at the end of that second quarter, they just, I don't know, they were rebels without a cause, or with a cause maybe. Just galloping down the court, applying that defensive pressure, and forcing that timeout.
Yeah, and I mean, it didn't really change anything after the timeout because they then went on a 7-2 run to finish the quarter and scored the last 5 points of the quarter. And look, and Bankstown, in a way, sort of gave it to them as well. They fouled Luke Cassidy way up court. They let a long outlet get open. There was one play where things completely broke down and the ball just happened to end up in Garrick Young's hands 2 foot from the basket. I think it was Cassidy and Lavallee got all tangled up in the pick and roll and the ball just spilled to the one open man who happened to be in a Crusaders jersey. But still, finishing, from 33-29, 15-5 run, and honestly, time could not have come at a better time for the Bankstown Bruins at that stage. They were all over the shop, to be entirely honest with you. And interestingly, Crusaders only committed 1 foul for the entire second quarter.
Yeah, that's it. Fouls was a big issue, or big disparity, I'd say, which kind of helped the crew just again get those stops, secure the rebound, and get out and run instead of letting Bankstown get in there and get to the free throw line, slow down their momentum. So yeah, well done by the crew to defend without fouling. But then on the other side, Bankstown, I think, were maybe just giving a few bailouts as I was trying to contain the Crusaders in the paint.
So 48-34 at halftime. At that point, I don't know that it didn't feel like a 14-point game. I kind of felt like Bankstown could get back into it. We've seen bigger margins fall by the wayside fairly regularly in this league. Crazy things happen. But they came out, Bankstown, at the start of the third quarter, and in the first few minutes, they were patient but took their chances, which I think they needed to probably do a lot more of throughout the game. So I think the first couple of possessions, they really got the ball moving around and got good baskets. But then there was one opportunity where Deontay Williams was just left open. He just splashed a 3 because it was the right – it might have been early in the shot clock, but it was the right shot. And, I mean, whatever gets talked about in the changing rooms, we'll never know. But, they certainly looked a lot more composed on offense early in the third quarter of the Bruins. What do you think?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they came out straight away. Ted gets a bucket, goes down the other side. Ted gets the stop, walling up well. Then on possession after that as well, he gets the block. So Teddy I think he made the most out of his break, came back and started swinging, and then Williams and Mundine then take over. You're right. That Deontay 3 was huge. Mundine had a sweet midi. I love a mid ranger. You always got to shout them out when they happen. But Mundine had a nice stop and pop. About 5 minutes 30 to go in the quarter. So that 1-2 punch really did take over. And they were starting to roll. But I think a lot of that did come from a little more defensive energy as well. I mean, I think Deontay Williams is a super underrated defender. He's so dynamic and so strong as well. And I think when he really presses up against players, whether it's ball handlers or whether it's bigs, he can really cause a lot of trouble. And that helped him get out in the fast break a lot more. There was one moment actually that I did a timestamp that I did want to give Hamish on the call a shout out. I think it was 7 minutes 18 to go. Go look it up, ladies and gentlemen. He says he called the Gundo 3. He's just like, oh, Gundo loves the 3 here, and then he never or he rarely misses these, and then swish, it went in. I
actually wrote down that exact moment, having seen that Gunderson finished with 16 points because he had 2 points in the first half.
Yeah,
and I was thinking that 3 is what's going to set him away, and it did. Dangerous to let a guy who's been in really good form recently see it go through the hoop.
Yeah, it's been awesome to see his development, not just this season, but over the years. But yeah, I think Coach Miko is really giving him big minutes this season, and he's repaying the favor. So yeah, just again, one of those youth players I was talking about from a couple, 10, 20 minutes ago in the pod. That Hayden Gunderson, he's really arrived. And I think like a 3-and-D just as a prototype, but does a whole lot more for this crew side. So it's awesome to see. but yeah, I think as we get to the like final 5 minutes of the third quarter, I just think the Bruins really started to leak too much on the fast break and kind of went back to their old ways with the Crusaders either getting stops or steals and then pushing the pace.
Yeah, I said in my notes, it was a 25-17 quarter for the Bruins, but it could have been so much better for them. That 17, if they'd been properly locked in for the full 10 minutes on defense, could have been a 29-11 quarter just as easily. But you summed it up perfectly with what they really needed to ratchet up. And the offensive rebound's a massive problem as well. They'll defend so well and then just give up an offensive board.
Yeah, it's a coach killer. In fact, it's a momentum killer too. Yeah, but again, that was that kind of size advantage that I think the Crew managed to take advantage of. And that's the thing, like the shooting percentages weren't too bad for the Bruins. 40% from three in the third quarter, 72% from inside the arc in that quarter. But again, maybe just weren't getting enough shots up or weren't getting enough options.
And your mic just.
And we're back.
James. We're back.
We're back in a big way. Zeke Evans. The Lithgow laser was finally got it pointing in the right direction. Started to come to life. Like he hit a layup, got a nice dunk, and then hit a three in the corner. And again, same as what I said about Ted, I think Zeke Evans. I think they got to find a way to utilize him a little bit better because, I mean, everyone you talk to around the league is huge raps on Zeke Evans. 2 years with Penrith was massive. One of the bright spots in that team. But yeah, coming to Bankstown, his role's been changing almost week in, week out, depending on who else is available. But if they can maybe start to use him a little more offensively, I don't know how that is. I'm not a coach. I'm just a C grade commentator. But
so let's probably C grade.
C plus. There you go.
I'd give you a B minus, but
right, but yeah, I'll take it. I'll take it. That's better than any of my results in school or uni, so I'll take that. But yeah, I think Zeke Evans is a real weapon, and I definitely think he's a player that could maybe run in the pick and roll situation a little more.
Zeke Evans a player. Well, if Marjorie Jackson was the Lithgow Flash, Zeke Evans is the Lithgow Bash.
Aha! Did you just come up with that then?
No, like 4 seasons ago.
Okay, damn, I like that. Yeah, the Lithgow Bash. Right, yeah. No, I like it.
I don't know anything else about Lithgow, except for the Macca's Weather Rock.
Yeah, and the isn't that where the kind of myth of the Panther comes from as well? Wasn't it Lithgow Panther or?
Well, I grew up in the Hawkesbury, and we like to claim it as well. It just lives somewhere between.
It was migrating
in the national park, and yeah.
All right, I know Rampaging Roy Slavin from Roy and HG is from Lithgow though. So
there we go.
That's one more. So there you go. But again, we're drifting into rugby league again. I promise you, I won't do that this pod.
Righto. And I know you mentioned Jamal Schwabe earlier. And he knocked down a really crucial 3 late in the third quarter. Got the screen and the handoff from Lavallee, and at that point it was a 4-point game. Bankstown had really brought it back. I think that late 3 from Schwabe just really just gave Central Coast a little bit, because it finished, the third quarter finished with the scoreline 65-59. So credit to Bankstown, they brought it back. They made a game of it in this third quarter. The way they finished the second, they knew they would have had to come out big in the third, but 6-point game heading into the fourth. What were you expecting going into the fourth quarter?
I was expecting fireworks, especially with, that Deontay Tech as well, just towards the end of the third. It just seemed like, you don't poke a bear. I know you used to play youth league for the Bears, but the saying generally, you don't poke a bear. And he looked like he's one of those players where the more you kind of try to get under his skin, the better he plays. So I thought Okay, look with Ant like still shooting quite well. I don't know, maybe the stats don't reflect it, but just on the eye test, like Mundine was laser focused and from 3-point land, and again, I know it doesn't come up in his percentages, but a lot of the threes he was taking were good, and he needed to score. So Mundine not looking too bad. I mean, he had a three early on in the fourth quarter. Williams still looking aggressive. I'm thinking, all right, Bankstown's hanging around. They're just hanging around, and like they've got their two players starting to really heat up as well. And even players like Zeke Evans was starting to come online as well. Like it's about 6 minutes remaining in the game. There was a Deontay to Zeke on the fast break. Again, good.
Oh, James has gone again.
I'm having too many mic drop moments here. So I'm on a connected to a cheap old microphone. Yeah, we're working on it, but good to be again. I think I'm being silent. Anytime I mention Zeke Evans, it seems to drop out. I think I don't know. There's maybe a conspiracy out there to keep Zeke's potential under wraps, but yeah, I mean, I was thinking Bankstown is still in it, and 5 minutes 40 to go in the game. Deontay had a bucket. It was 71-66. Where this game, we have ourselves a game, ladies and gentlemen.
We 100% did. Yeah, Deontay, that was on that Euro step where he laid it home. That was very, very nice indeed because, I mean, Ant Mundine, he had a turnover losing he lost the ball over the backcourt, tried to save it, only went straight to a Central Coast player, but he immediately came back and just buried a three with really good movement off the ball to get it open as well. Just used his speed to get away from Bailey and just absolutely cashed it. It was beautiful. But yeah, they brought it back. It was 71-66. And originally I wrote that Crew just kept finding baskets to keep the lead at 6, 7, 8. And then even after Ted Wolf, there you go, came up with a big block on Young. But then Crew just went on another mini run and got it out to an 11-point game again. And it was just a matter of Bankstown. They'd get it close and they'd go back out. They'd get it close and they'd go back out. But at 77-66, and then Matern-Maker grabbing another O board, timeout, 3:22 to play in the fourth quarter, and it was looking like an uphill. It was really looking like an uphill drag for Bankstown at that stage.
Yeah, I mean, because they were doing it by committee, the Central Coast Crusaders, and I think that's just what kind of wore down the Bruins, at least energy fatigue wise. I think the Crew, just everyone was firing on all cylinders at different points in the game. And it's got game fans out there. I know you're wondering when we're going to bring Tom Akamamu back into the conversation, but he, in those final 5 minutes, I'll say roughly, was just so big. I mean, got to the line for some key free throws. God, I always get tongue-tied on free throws. And also when shooting them as well. Went 1 of 2 last night. But anyway, we won't get into that. And then he comes back with a big bucket, 2 minutes 30 to go, and then a floater with 2:14 to go in the game. I mean, he finished with 18, right? 18 points?
I think so.
Yeah. And like a lot of that came in the first quarter and the final quarter. So a strong start and a strong finish. 19. There you go.
Yeah, you've sold him 19, 8, 4, and 3 steals. So, and yeah, he did it in a lot of his makes in bunches as well. We do have to tick him off for fouling Ant Mundine on a 3 though, which was completely unnecessary.
Yeah, and definitely not the player you want to get rhythm free throws as well. Ant Mundine,
but he did cook Ted Wolf and Ant Mundine on the next play to go straight to the rack. So
exactly,
we'll give him that.
Yeah,
but fair play to Bankstown. Those 3 free throws were big. They got it back within. It was back within 8 points with 90 seconds to play, and then Tommy limped off.
Yeah, not too sure what happened there. Maybe it's
And yeah,
yeah. Well, at least he's limping off, not getting carried off. So hopefully it's
that's
not
true.
anything too serious. But at least they had the depth on the bench. But I'll just get back into that in one moment because a player we mentioned a little earlier comes back. But we'll give a lot of credit to Deontay Williams. He really tried to put the team on his back.
Yeah.
Bit Greg Jennings style, if anyone remembers that reference. But yeah, like 3 buckets in a row and like the closing minutes, like under 2 minutes to go. And oh yeah, Deontay really did all he could to try to elevate the Bankstown Bruins to the W here. And yeah, I'm keen as to see what Deontay can do with a full off season of training with the Bankstown Bruins and coming back. I mean, not that their season's over or anything. I just want to say, like, the fact he can do this just from a standing start with the Bankstown Bruins, imagine what he can do once he's fully gelled in with the team system and their whole team is back to full strength. He's going to be a superstar. And yeah, would not be surprised to see him maybe knocking on the door of some development contracts in the NBL. I know there's a lot of great players out there, but I think Deontay has definitely shown more than enough elite talent to justify going on maybe a little higher level. So yeah, I just want to give him a lot of credit because he really would have been exhausted after that game, long drive back to Bankstown, but yeah, he really tried his hardest.
Yeah, I mean, Crew coming away with the 86-79 win, but boys, sorry, you didn't finish it off well.
Yeah, I was scratching my head a little bit because they were kind of close there. It was like about 13 seconds remaining. It's only a 5-point game. And then sideline out of bounds lucky. What happened after that?
I mean, Bankstown had a chance to like tip jam at home and then went out of bounds.
I just don't know if that was the play. Because as you always say, the scoreboard down the bottom, like, and the actual game clock was about 2 seconds out. So it's about 13 seconds remaining. Could have got a pretty high percentage shot, I guess. But they just went for the lob, which is quite high risk. Then it may be a well drawn up kind of catch and shoot play. And then they had a chance, but then I think it was Evic fumbled it, and I don't know. Maybe I'm missing something here, but that they could have maybe could have done something a little better there.
Yeah, I mean, Crew shouldn't have let them get into that position, and I don't think Bankstown took advantage of the position. So all balance, it all evens out in the end, and probably 86-79 is probably a fair reflection of where we are, given the events of the entire game. But it was, I mean, look, you can give 3 votes to a player on the losing team. It wouldn't have surprised me if Deontay Williams got 3 votes out of that. Although Matermaker, 17 points, 18 rebounds, 11 of them at the offensive end.
Yeah,
it's tough to go past.
That's a big difference maker. Pun intended. Actually, sorry,
no,
accidentally intended.
Your puns are intended.
Yeah, it is. But yeah, that's gotta say, once, like, all in all, I think Bankstown, like, I don't know, after reflecting on that, going to meditate in the garden for a little bit after that game. The Bankstown, they did what they could, and they did the right thing, just trying to hang around when you're shorthanded, just stay within reach, and try to grab it right at the end. But ultimately, the Crew were just too good, and I think it was a great case of team basketball kind of triumphing over kind of just a few players contributing. The Crew had so many people popping off and stepping up at different times. I mean, Gundo even hit a huge 3 right at the end. But it's that well-roundedness Central Coast Crusaders have, and I always say this, that it's really hard to stop multiple, like, maybe, let's see how many players they had. They had 5 players in double figure scoring. Jamal had 8 points as well. It's really hard to stop that. Then the Bankstown Bruins were a bit top heavy with Mundine with 20, Deontay with 29, and then Ted with 11, and then a huge drop off, and no one else. I think Zeke had 9. It's a lot easier to stop just 3 players who are on a tear rather than 5 who are chipping in good numbers. So hey, win for team basketball.
Yeah, and I mean it's unfortunate because Bankstown, a full strength Bankstown, would be playing would be playing really good team basketball, but sometimes the players have just got to kind of put the team on their back. And I mean, fair play to those guys. Mundine and Deontay in the backcourt combining for 49. They did everything they could in an undermanned team, and fair play to them. But we look forward to future matchups. So Central Coast, they got COE, Penrith, Maitland, Hornsby, and Newcastle in their next 5 games. So very, very balanced. Teams around them. COE well above them, a couple of teams below them, and then Maitland right around them.
They will face. I mean, COE, as we know, the graduates going on. So yeah, there might be a bit of an easy chance to beat COE. Penrith can really shock any team on any day, so that's going to be a good challenge. Maitland, I think, have been hot and cold this season, but when they're hot, they are the 3rd degree burns. Like it's crazy when Maitland's really on. The Spiders, I can't comment on that one. I've got to keep it neutral, but that'll be a fun game. The Hawkesbury River Derby. I don't know. I'm trying to work something. I think there should be a rivalry between Spiders and the
Crew and Hornsby.
Yeah,
I call it the Weybridge Wrangle because it's the only landmark between the 2 places.
That's good. Yeah, I'll take that. The Weybridge Ring. No, right. Please don't trademark that. I'm going to steal that. That's awesome. But still, I think the Crew already in a great position, and I think you're going to keep motoring up. And lucky who, Bankstown, they're holding on at the moment. But who do they have in the next few games?
So they've got Newcastle. Then they've got Illawarra, Norths, Manly, and then Penrith.
Oh, jeez.
So sitting at 4 and 8, they're going to have to come up with some upsets down the stretch if they want to play finals basketball this year, I think.
God, North and Illawarra still to come. That's tough. Yeah. Those teams are pretty much impossible to beat this year. No, that's sorry. I mean, I don't know. Sorry, I'm working on a video at the moment about the Illawarra Hawks, and any which way you look at it, they're
very good.
Yeah.
Yes. As an aside, to the season in general, the men's ladder, you got 5 teams with 3 losses or fewer, and then you jump straight to a bunch of teams at 500. The gap between the top 5, it goes from 72.7% the Gunners to 50% the Crusaders, Mustangs, Bulls, and Sharks. It is so broken open at this point. The top 5 are just gone.
Yeah, they've taken off and left everyone behind them. Yeah, the last chopper to the finals. But yeah, I guess that's 6, 7, 8 is still very much up for grabs. I mean, just going through it now, you got Crew at 6, Maitland at 7th, Bulls at 8, and Sharkies at 9. Then Comet's not far behind at 10th on 6 and 7. Yeah, it's going to be very tough for the Bankstown Bruins to crack into those final 3 spots. As we said a little earlier, the Sharkies having a little renaissance. Bulls on their day can really compete with anyone. Sydney Comets have been a bit of a mixed bag, but again, like they're one of those teams who, when they're on, they're bloody exciting to watch. So yeah, it's going to be tough for Bankstown to try to leapfrog some of those teams.
I mean, you mentioned Penrith. If Comets miss finals by 1 game, that's the one they're going to look back at. Is that loss to Penrith? Yeah.
Yeah, that's those Sunday games, and I was going to say that earlier about the Spiders and Canberra. Those Sunday games can throw out some weird results. You never quite know what you're going to get in the back-to-back. And like just while we still got a little bit of time because we didn't have a guest on. Can we have a look at the women's ladder, see how that's shaping up at the moment?
We certainly can have a look at the women's ladder and see how that's shaping up. So it is almost the antithesis of the men's. There's no big gaps anywhere.
Yeah.
Even North at 13-0 are still only 1 game ahead of Manly, who are only 1 game ahead of Bankstown. Newcastle with a couple of games in hand. So North 13-0, Manly 11-1, Bankstown 10-2, Newcastle 8-3, Centre of Excellence 10-4, Hornsby Ku-ring-gai 8-4, Sutherland 6-4, Albury 6-6 round out the 8, and then Illawarra and Hills, Canberra and Maitland right on their heels. So
yeah, it's normally kind of the reverse situation. Normally there's kind of the top 6, top 5 in the women's division, and they're kind of running away with it. But goes to show that a lot of teams, I think, with the development and the seeds they kind of planted a couple seasons ago, or even when NBL 1A started off in their women's program, are just starting to blossom, because this is definitely the most competitive I've seen the women's competition maybe since the start of NBL 1 East. I mean, teams like Hornsby, I know it seems a bit biased, but they couldn't buy a win just a couple seasons ago. Now they're up there rubbing shoulders with everyone in that top 8. But as we did mention a little earlier, I mean, there's a lot of sides there, the Illawarra Hawks, Canberra Nationals, even the Maitland Mustangs. I put them in that same category, in the Hills Hornets. They're looking really rejuvenated at the moment, so they're going to start charging for the finals.
Yeah, I mean, the top 12. I mean, we definitely are looking more towards the top than the bottom of things, unfortunately. But I think there are teams here that are better than last year, significantly better, maybe even, that are still not able to push through, because the whole league is just the whole top half of the league is getting so much better.
Yeah, I can't believe it. I mean, and in that top 4, the surprise pack has definitely been the Bankstown Bruins. Nothing to take away from their program. I mean, I can see why they've been so successful. They've pretty much made all the right moves in the last 2 seasons. But to have a 10-2 record is phenomenal for the Bankstown Bruins. And I think they're definitely another one of those sides who planted the seeds a couple of years ago. Now they're really starting to yield.
And I mean, this is a program that didn't actually enter a women's team in the first season of NBL 1 East, if you remember. So, when you talk about, Hornsby, Penrith, Comets had to start a season late, well, so were the Bankstown Bruins women. But, I mean, yes, they have Shyla, Talia, Davida and Margot in their starting lineup, but the rest of that team is all Bankstown products.
Yeah, Bankstown built, Bankstown born, Bankstown bred. It's awesome to see that program and how it's developed over the years, and how they're all gelling together. And of course, this is a very pro Lauren Curtin program. I've heard plenty of that on Eastcott Game, but yeah, she's done a great job. Even another team that I did an Instagram post about a couple of weeks ago, because I just hadn't really clocked onto them, as the Newey Falcons are also a team that I think could really be threatening as well as the season goes along, especially with Heidi and Shields joining the side now. This women's competition it's going to be a fun second half of the season.
It really will. We'll see. I think this coming week. Oh, it's not this coming weekend, but the next weekend. I thought this weekend just gone was going to be. It could have, if it had all gone to chalk, I think it could have been a weekend where we almost decided the top 8. Instead, things happened like Canberra beating Hornsby and Illawarra beating Albury, and suddenly it's all mixed up again. But I mean, we've got Sutherland and Hornsby next weekend. But are there any other games you particularly have your eye on for round 10?
Round 10. Okay, so staying in the women's division, I mean, sorry to sound like a broken record, but Bankstown, Newcastle, that's going to be must-watch TV. Must-watch TV. Damn, I'm getting tongue-tied here. Bankstown Falcons in the women's game, that's going to be ripper. That'll really be a statement game for either side, to say that, hey, we're second, third, even maybe the best team in this division. Because those sides, I mean, if you look across the court, the matchups are really, really interesting. Falcons are quite a big team. They're a team with a lot of size. Whereas I think the Bruins, they do have size in kind of the guards positions, but they are a kind of quicker style of basketball that to get out and run and get out and push the pace. Even just the contrast in styles is going to be big. And that's definitely going to be must-watch TV or must-watch streaming. And meanwhile, for the men's, just looking up and down. I might just get back to you on the men's, but what do you reckon for the women's, Lockie, besides the
Besides
Sharks,
Sutherland,
Gunners?
Hornsby.
What's that?
Besides Sutherland, Hornsby, and Sutherland, Canberra, Manly COE on the women's side.
Ooh.
On the Sunday, COE. So COE play Illawarra, Central Coast, and then they play Manly on the Sunday. So Manly COE, the grand final rematch. Gotta love that. And then on the men's side, Hawkeys Gunners.
Yeah.
Saturday night in the Snake Pit.
It doesn't get much better than that. It really doesn't. That's going to be an absolute battle.
Canberra, beware the wounded beast.
Yeah, definitely. I'm anxious to think that the Canberra Gunners on a 3-game slide at the moment. I mean, we didn't even talk about that in the career review that they came off beating Canberra. Of course, they're going to be feeling good about that. But yeah, I think you're so right about that. The Gunners, you can only hope to contain them for a little bit of time before they start punching back. And I think those boys are really fired up. And sometimes when you are a championship team, you do need those setbacks when you're trying to defend your title, just to maybe a bit of a wake-up call. And you'd rather have a wake-up call mid-season than heading into the finals. So I think the Gunners are going to come back bigger and better than ever. And yeah, these next 2 games though for them against the COE, I think will be a good test to see if this is something that's maybe a long-term trend of form collapsing, or whether it was just a little glitch. But for me, actually, one I'm going to keep an eye on in the men's, because I just reckon it'll be fun. I reckon it'll be exciting. It's going to be Maitland versus Bulls on I think it's on the Sunday. Yeah, it's on the Sunday. Up at Mojo Home Centre. I still can't really call that, up at the Federation Centre.
Look, it is perfectly fine to dead name stadiums. Call it Maitland Federation Centre. We're not getting paid.
I'm not doing it. It feels like we're on ABC Grandstand, where you got to give it the non-sponsored name. But
Melbourne Rectangular Stadium.
Yeah. What's the other one they always have? The Sydney Football Stadium or Western Sydney Stadium. Yes. But yeah, up at the Maitland Federation Centre. Come on, the Fed Centre. I think that's going to be pretty do or die for the Bulls. It's definitely not an easy place to play. But again, rankings and stuff aside, I've seen both these teams play this year at the Brick Pit, and it was 2 of the most thrilling men's teams to watch, Maitland and the Bulls. They just play such a fun style, and there's so many players that I just love watching on both those sides. Malok Majak is having a sneaky, scary good season. And meanwhile, for the Maitland Mustangs, I would love to see what Matty Gray can do now that he's back, and just see if Will Cranston can kind of recapture MVP.
And James is gone again. I think we've lost James.
Jeez, I just keep losing me. Sorry, I get a bit fired up with the microphone here. But yeah, an eye on that one, ladies and gents. It's going to be a good matchup. I'm sure the Maitland Federation Centre will be pumping.
It generally is. Well, thank you so much for joining me, James. Do come down to the Shark Tank on Saturday, June 13th. We may have multiple Hornsby-related guests on the call if that happens.
Oh, that's I can't really guess. Is Abby Curtin injured at the moment? I don't know.
No. You'll have to wait and see on the day.
Yeah, that's going to be great.
And also, I didn't find Hamish says they are all winnable games for the Crew, but you could put the Crew up against the 96 Bulls and Hamish would call it a winnable game for the Crew. So, although to be fair, most of the guys on the 96 Bulls are in their 50s or 60s now. So,
yeah, that actually was one more note I had on the game review. I like the SJ Hamish 1-2 punch. That was it's like salt and pepper. It was a good little 1-2 punch, those two on the commentary. And awesome to have Hamish back in the commentary box this season. I've really enjoyed listening to his beautiful old school radio style voice. It's just wonderful.
And SJ actually gave you a shout out for your call of the Hornsby Canberra game. So
Yeah,
SJ, thank you for
SJ.
tuning in as always. And I'm sure James will much appreciate the shout out.
Yeah, midway through, I was having a bit of a heart attack that day. It was such a good game, but no, it was really enjoyable. And sorry, and just one more thing I wanted to point out, it was like I'd love to have that for going forward. In sense, I love having a home and away commentator. I really like the insights that provides for games, and SJ is obviously a huge font of knowledge for the Bankstown Bruins, and Hamish is obviously all across the Crusaders. So I really did enjoy that about that game, having home and away commentators. So maybe something the league might want to look into in the future.
Well, there we go. Hopefully someone from the league is listening. But to everyone out there, thank you for joining us this week on eScott Game. Remember, you can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and subscribe to our YouTube channel at eScott Game, or you can continue to find our episodes on your preferred streaming platforms. But James, what do we got to tell the people?
Don't sleep on the East. Don't do it.